Okay, that's setting up. And share my screen. Oh,
look at you.
oh, where's this one? Do this. Okay.
Now, when you did that, you took over my entire screen.
Yes.
How do I
I'll bring it back. I'll bring it back.
Wow, it's like a disco party.
So fun, right?
My Tony Robbins energy.
You know it. We're grooving out.
Mars today?
I know. I have to see if I can figure out some different intro music too. I feel like we're like going through space and time.
I like it.
It's fun, right?
Yeah.
Now we just need to visualize ourselves in our convertibles, right? Oh man, that's great.
Why aren't you the landlord?
Let me stop this. Okay.
We need your help. Since the pandemic, demand for food has gone up 500%. This perm season.
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here. That was a fun little countdown. Mark, how are you?
I'm awesome. How are you today, Marissa?
Hello.
So good to see you.
It's so good to see you too, my friend. I'm so excited to do this with you today. So you guys, I just want to welcome everybody who is tuning in live on Facebook. We are so excited that you're here. Welcome to our very first Supercars and Superfoods Facebook Live. And this is where we are going to be celebrating car enthusiasts, people just like Mark and myself and you who are watching. We're going to help all of these people that are so passionate about their cars, not only keep the passion for their cars alive, but help them stay healthy so they can enjoy their cars and their life to the fullest. So my name is Marissa Campbell. For those of you that don't know me, I am here in Newport Beach, California. I am a lifestyle transformation expert, and I am super passionate about anything related to supercars and superfoods. I love helping foodies, I love helping entrepreneurs, and I love helping car enthusiasts get healthy so they can live a joyful and an abundant life. So I am an executive with a health and wellness global company. I also run a multi-million-dollar company and business from the comfort of my home, helping people like Mark, helping people like myself, and tons of car people stay on track with the right road to their health and well-being so they can, Mark, move better.
Yes. Don't ask me to dance. Everyone will disappear if that happens.
Right? Move better so they can feel better, so they can sleep better, so they can live better, so they can do better, look better, and just live their best life. So
Yep.
I am also a supercar fanatic. I am a super car fanatic. I love the Superformance family. I'm a Superformance girl by marriage. And so shout out to all of our supercar lovers in the house, quarantine cruise people and overhauling, and all of you guys at Superformance, we love you. And I'm also a stepmom recently. Isn't that cool? I know, to an 18-year-old son. Thank you.
Awesome.
I love him. And that's just a little bit about me. So Mark, I would love for you to tell everyone all about you, who you are and what you do.
How do you follow that? I don't know how you on earth follow that, but I'll do my best. Marissa, thank you so much for letting me share my story here and getting to share some fun time with you, which is always fantastic. You're like the energizer bunny. I mean, you never stop going. So you get me energized, get me jazzed up, and you certainly have helped me on this journey that we're going to be talking about today. But I'll give you my brief introduction of who I am. I'm Mark Greene. I'm the producer and host of Cars Yeah, which is a 5-day-a-week podcast. You can access it using your mobile podcast app or on the Cars Yeah website. I'm all over social media and so forth. And I interview people who are what I call inspiring automotive enthusiasts, like Marissa. She's been a guest on my show. Her husband, Doug's been a guest on my show. Lance Stander from Superformance has been a guest. Rich McDonald's been a guest. A lot of people have been guests because I'm up to 1,765 shows now, something like that.
So incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I get to interview people who love cars, and they share their story of how they've wrapped that passion into their careers and their lives. And the goal with Cars Yeah is to inspire others, like what you do, is to help others realize that if you go to a job every day that you're just like not happy about and don't want to get out of bed, there's an alternative for you. There's another life for you. And with these 1,750 plus guests, they've all got different stories to share. Some of the stories are really, really heartbreaking. Most of them are very inspirational. But that's pretty much what I do every day. I work here in Gig Harbor, Washington, where it's beautiful. I grew up in Southern California, where you guys are, but I'm up here where there's still some snow on the ground from a unique snow we had this weekend and some rain falling, but we call it liquid sunshine up here because water is part of the power of staying healthy, and it keeps the planet healthy, but it keeps us healthy. And we'll talk about that too. But that's about the quickest intro that I can give to me and what Cars Yeah is all about.
I love that, Mark. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for what you bring to this world. You are truly, when you say your show is an inspiration, it is an absolute truth. So many people have been touched by your show. So many people tune into your show weekly for that weekly dose of inspiration. And you are truly, truly a gift. So I love you so much. And I'm so honored to be here sharing this space with you today. So let's talk about, how did you translate your passion for cars into your profession? How did that all come about?
Well, goes way, way back. I was born a car guy, basically, if you ask my mom. By the way, my mom's watching us right now, and I want to give her, next week is a very special birthday for her. You never give away a lady's age, right? But I'll say it's a very special birthday. So happy early birthday to you, Mom. Love you, Mom.
Oh, I love that. Happy birthday, Mom. We love you.
Her name's Beth. So she's down there. She's down there in Southern California with you, enjoying the sunshine and so forth. Tried to get her up here, but she says, cold and rainy. Why would I come up there? So at any rate, happy early birthday to my mom. So it goes all the way back. If you ask my mom, I used to play with cars when I was a little kid. My first car, you'll see right there. Yeah, right there. It's all backwards. A little pedal car. I had a Garton pedal car, a Cadillac that was my uncle's that he gave to me. And I've got a picture of me driving that, pedaling that little car. But I love cars. Always been about cars, always been around cars. Worked in the advertising business as a creative director, account executive for 11 years in San Diego. That's where I grew up. I was a surfer, long-haired surfer back when I had hair. And then met my wife, Jill, of 36 years now, when we were in college at UCSD. And I started a detailing business when I was 14, did all that. And then I went out in the business career, but I still detailed cars because I love keeping cars clean. And then about 11 years after that, I joined what was then a startup company called Griot's Garage, a car care company. And there was just about 4 of us, I believe, working there at that time. So I came in as the VP of marketing, but I also I always say I wore so many hats, I wore all my hair off. And then I was there for 20 plus years, helping build that brand, developing products. I got to travel the world. I got to race vintage cars. I got to do all this stuff in the car world, but still attach my creativity and my marketing skills to all of that. So wrote copy for the products, took pictures, layouts, things like that. And then I left there about 8 years ago, and I was home trying to figure out what my next move in life would be. My wife was very ill. She had been diagnosed with a serious tumor, and she had to have this surgery, which made her bedridden for months. So I had to care for her, literally had to carry her around. And that was a real struggling time. My dad had fallen. He was 80 at the time, had broken his neck. And so we were dealing with that. Jill's mom had been diagnosed with cancer. So that was the triple whammy, horrible time in our lives where you kind of go, why are you testing me here with all this stuff? But during that time, my son was attending college at RISD, and it's a very expensive private school in the East Coast, but it's a brilliant school, and it launched him into a very successful career. Very proud of him and my daughter, who is now living up here in the Pacific Northwest. She's a tremendous young lady as well, very into health and fitness, so she's a great inspiration to me. And I'd be remiss not to mention my sister, Lisa, because she's a fitness coach in a way. She helps people. She lives near you. You guys have talked.
Yes, I love you. I love Lisa.
Yeah, she's awesome. And she's a great inspiration to me as well. So I asked my son, I said, I need to figure out something I can do from home because I need to care for your mom until she's better. She recovered fully from that, which was great. And so he said, Dad, you've been taking me to Pebble Beach, to car shows, vintage races your whole life. What do I tease you about? You can't walk past somebody without talking to them about their career and their cars. Why don't you do that? I said, okay, how do I make money doing that? Because every time I go to Pebble Beach Car Week or Amelia or all these places, I come back with a very large Visa bill from all the fun that I've spent. And he said this word to me that I had really not heard, podcast. Now, this was about 7 years ago. And
this was before podcasts were a thing.
Well, they were a thing, but they were very early. And a lot of people didn't know how to access them. They thought it was radio or something. They didn't know what it was. So any rate, long story short, I started investigating podcasting. And I called podcasters. I listened to podcasts. I went all over the place trying to figure out what is this thing? How do you make money at podcasting? And I wrote, the way I do things is pretty thorough. I'm very detail focused. So I wrote this whole business plan of this podcast, came up with the idea. My wife actually Jill gave me the idea of Cars Yeah. Luckily, tried to find a URL that's not taken with the word cars in it. I mean, it's
right.
Very challenging. Yeah. So Cars Yeah was born. And I started, and I built my own website. I'm a great designer, but I'd never built a website, learned how to do that. I don't want to be a coder. I learned that lesson. Those guys live on a different planet, maybe in Mars with Elon Musk. And since they're landing on Mars, I think in an hour from now, maybe they'll find some of those people, but I really have respect for them. So I did the website, designed the logo, came up with the whole script, the whole concept. And then I went, now I've got to interview people. So I had to learn how to buy this mic and use the software. And I did it all using YouTube, basically watching tutorials. And I asked Jill, she's back in bed. She would ring me on my phone saying, I need a drink of water. I need to use the restroom, or could you please bring me to dinner? And I was working 18 hours a day building this whole thing. And I was literally about 2 weeks away from my launch date. I had this date set in my mind. It was, to me, it was a personal reset date because it was a year after I'd left Griot's Garage. And I wanted to redefine that exit day to something positive and great and forward thinking.
I love that.
But the days are looming, right?
Yeah, as they get closer, you're going, uh-oh.
And I'm on the phone calling everybody. And I knew a lot of people in the industry, but I'm saying, hey, I'm doing this podcast. And they're going, what's a podcast? And it's like, I don't want to be interviewed, hey, good luck, Mark. See you later. Well, luckily I finally got my first guest, and thankfully to a lady named Cindy Meidel who brought him to me. She's a PR person, and I'm really grateful. She brought me my first guest, and I took off. And a lot of people said 5 days a week, you'll never find enough people. And I worried about that, but that's not true because, the car industry is full of fascinating people.
Car people are the best people, and there's so many.
And once I got established, they started sharing with me and they went, okay, this thing is kind of cool. I'll come on and tell my story. And so I just did it. And it's like a treadmill. And, you set that goal of 5 shows a week. I know at the time I was the only 5-day-a-week podcast for cars. I think I still am for the automotive sector. And here we go, 1700. Tomorrow I'll do my 1764th interview. And you just start doing it, right? And it's a lot like what we're going to talk about, being healthy and staying healthy and putting yourself in a plan and sticking with it. Persistence, tenacity. I'm kind of a bulldog when it comes to that stuff, sometimes to a fault.
You made a decision, right? And there's so much power in that decision. When you make a decision, it's like a decision it's to decide, it's to commit. And then it's like, okay, I've made the decision. I've told everybody about it. Now I'll figure it out as I go, right. I'll figure it out as I go. And you have that, almost like childlike faith about the situation. And it's scary. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure you had moments where you're just like, oh my God. But looking back in hindsight, what an amazing, amazing road you have paved, not only for yourself as a forum for other people to be able to come forward and share their passion for cars and inspiration, all things, but you're a true pioneer in the world of podcasts. You really are. Well, thanks. You were doing the podcast world before the podcast world really took off. And so, that is something to really be proud of. And you've definitely made a stake in the automotive industry. People love you, Mark.
Well, that's very kind of you. When I started this, and we'll talk about this, about health, having a healthy lifestyle, is defining your why.
Yes.
And I kept asking myself, because I love the Simon Sinek stories, the TED Talks and the books about
they're all great. Yeah.
Right. You have to, when you're going to do something, you need to understand why you're doing it, whether it's for a good reason or bad reason, whatever, at least if you define your why. So my why became my mantra, my slogan for Cars Yeah, which is inspiring automotive enthusiasts. And we all talk about that 30-second elevator pitch. If you get in an elevator with somebody that you want to meet, in those 30 seconds, can you tell him your whole story? And I worked on that. And basically mine is Cars Yeah is about me interviewing inspiring automotive enthusiasts, people who've wrapped their passion into their lives and careers around automobiles, and they share their stories. It's a double entendre for me. They are inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and together, like when you were on my show, we are inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Right. So it all kind of fell into place. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're better together. That's the bottom line.
Yes.
And you've created this place and this forum, to make that little beautiful alignment come together.
Right. Yeah.
It's
I always say,
awesome.
I always say podcasting is like Forrest Gump's box of chocolates. Most of my guests I've never met. I've never even spoken to them. And when that phone rings, when they dial in, because I do my shows via Skype.
Right.
So I don't have to leave my house. That was one of my deals when I was working at my old job. I used to joke saying my next job is going to have 2 things. This one doesn't. No employees to deal with. And no.
This is where you and I share a lot in common. Yes. No employees.
You worked in the restaurant industry. Yes. Yeah.
Right?
And no commuting because of all that wasted time sitting in traffic.
Yes.
So I don't wear out my Michelins. I wear out my slippers. So. Yeah.
It's a 10-second commute from your bedroom to your boardroom, right?
Yeah. But I'll tell you, there's a problem with that when it comes to healthy lifestyle. It's also a 5-second commute to the pantry and the refrigerator.
That's right. That's right. So that's a perfect lead in. Let's go into, let's tie this back to health and wellness and like what triggered you? What was going on in your life? What was happening? What was like your aha moment? You have all this going on with the podcast. It's 5 seconds to the refrigerator. What was going on? What happened where you had like this awakening or an aha moment and you're going, oh my gosh, I've got to start looking at my health and my well-being.
Right. Great question.
Take us through that
Great
journey,
question.
that part.
And it wasn't really an awakening so much, but I'll start by saying what happened was Marissa Campbell happened. And
I love you.
well, before I left my old career and started this new, redefined my whole life, really just rebuilt myself. I was going to an office every day, working very long hours, 7 days a week, traveling all the time, very hard to be healthy. And I committed to going to the gym every day. And I got very healthy at that time. It was really good. I really thought hard about what I ate. And about the time my daughter graduated from college, now this was probably 8-9 years ago, I'd lost weight to get to a point where I'd gotten overweight because I wasn't taking care of myself. So when I was home, stayed home, I was in good shape. But as the time went by, and this is a slow build, I think, for a lot of people, you don't get overweight and feel unhealthy one day, unless you drank too much or ate too much that night before. I call it a slow build. And it's a slow decline, really, because your habits change. For me, I was focusing so much, and I'm not going to use our situation with our families as an excuse because it can't be used as an excuse, but it was a reason why I'd stopped focusing on me.
Yeah,
Start
I get that.
focusing out.
It's that we start taking care of everyone else, and in that process, and it could be not even the family, it could be your business. That was a trap I got into when I was at the restaurant. It was like everything was about the business before it was for me, and you just get into this space without even really realizing it, and you start slowly neglecting yourself over time.
Yes, exactly. That's what you do, and before you know it, you get out of the shower one day and you glance in the mirror and you go, who is that?
Yeah.
And then you start to ignore it because you know what you should do. My wife Jill's 1,000 times smarter than me by far. People listen to my podcast, hear that all the time. That's why I married her. My mom always said, find a woman smarter than you and she'll help you strive to be better every day. I think it was a female trick though. I think.
Your mom's a wise woman.
Yeah. So I always joke and say she remembers things I did wrong. I don't even have the pleasure of remembering. So, but at any rate, I was focusing too much outward and not enough inward. I didn't have that balance going on. I was so busy. And so time builds and you start gaining weight. And I didn't like the way I felt. I definitely didn't like the way I looked. Clothes start getting tighter and tighter. And you start going, I don't want to buy the next size up because that means I commit to losing. Right. So
right.
You just try to button those jeans up as best you can and walk around like Frankenstein or that Seinfeld episode of Kramer wearing tight skinny boy jeans. So I'll go back to you because you and I and Doug and Lance and everybody were at SEMA. We go to SEMA every year. Sadly, we missed it last year. Well, let's cross all our fingers it happens this year. And you and I were talking. And at that point, I was feeling, okay, I don't feel healthy. I don't feel well. I know I need to lose weight. Jill would be very nice about the way she would say things, but there's something about your wife telling you that it pisses you off, but it shouldn't because she doesn't mean you bad. But anyway, guys know what I'm talking about. Maybe women do too. I don't know. But so you and I were talking and I think I made a comment about, I need to lose some weight or something. And you said, Mark, I do this program, and you started talking about it and you planted a seed in my head. And I came home and I really wanted to call you. And I kept thinking about it and I kept going, okay, there's probably something here. And then life gets in the way. You're busy. You're trying to build a business. And again, you start focusing on all that and you stop focusing on yourself. So time went by and then I shot my TV show at your guys' place that I did in 2019.
Yes.
And Doug was there, and I asked him when I said, hey, what's this thing that Marissa and you do? And he gave me some insights. So he planted another seed. So I got 2 seeds, the Campbell seeds in my head, right? And I came home and I thought more about it. And then it kind of, the seed, I didn't water the seed. So it withered, it didn't grow. And then you posted something on Facebook about who wants to lose, and you can help me with this, 10 pounds in the next, I think it was a month or something. It was right before.
Yeah, by Labor Day, I think.
By Labor Day, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that, and I knew I needed to do something, but I hadn't figured out what it was. There's all this information we get every day. I mean, you go online and learn how to extract your own teeth, you know, but you don't know what's right, how to do it. And I needed guidance, but to that point, I hadn't asked for the help. So I reached out to you and I said, I'm in, I need help. And that's what started this whole thing. And I guess that answers your question of the catalyst, you know, where I'd gotten to, where I'd kind of gotten to a bit of a breaking point, I think, in how bad I felt about myself, my health, how I looked, because I'm a somewhat of a personality out there, although podcast is all, you know, faceless basically. But I did the TV show. I didn't like the way I looked on that. Whenever I go to car events and people would take pictures with me, I'd look at them and I go, I don't know who that guy is. And so all of that kept compounding and growing and growing. And it just kept, it was always on my mind. It was really, I will say it was dragging my mental happiness down.
Yeah, it starts to wear on you for, you know, after a while. And I think that's so relatable what you say. And I know it rang true for me too. When I started, you know, getting to that point too, for me, it was, you know, it's when you look in the mirror, right? You're looking in the mirror or you're getting ready for an event. For me, what you're right. It's like, you don't want to see what's in there. And what did it for me is when I was standing in that bridal salon, you know, trying on wedding dresses, and that was the final straw for me. I was like, meltdown, right? Like, I can't allow this to happen. So it happens for so many people. And then what you end up doing is you see yourself in that mirror and you start telling yourself, you know, whatever the narrative is, which then starts bringing you down even further until we have that moment where we're like, okay, I'm ready. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you saw the post and you're like, okay, I'm gonna reach out.
I remember I picked up my phone and I called you and I said, okay, what's going on? You need to walk me through this. And I'll tell everybody listening, in effort to not make this sound like an infomercial, which it really is not, but it is in a way to help you. You know, Marissa is like I said, the Energizer Bunny. If all of you know her, she's just like always on. I don't know how you do it, but you're always on. You're always so happy and excited and thrilled. But that's because you're doing what you love. And that's what I've learned by interviewing people. If we do what we love all day long and every day, it's a lot of work, but it's fun.
It's fun. It doesn't feel like work.
You don't dread doing it.
Right.
I don't think there's a day I get up where I go, oh, I have to interview 3 people today, or this week I'll do 12 interviews with people from all over the world. Yesterday, interviewed a guy who was in Switzerland, and this morning someone in Florida. I'll be doing tomorrow somebody from England. I mean, so it's fun. Like, what's going to happen? This Forrest Gump's box of chocolates when somebody calls. I don't know what I'm going to get, but it's going to taste pretty good. So I called you and you said, here's the program. Here's how I help people. And that's what I needed. I'm a guy, typical guy, that if you give me a path, you say, just do this, Mark, other than, should I do that? Should I do that? Should I do this? Should I do that? What should I do? And that got me going. And what I did, you told me, you said, commit to 30 days.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking 30 days, that goes by like that. Right. And so obviously Jill was on board and she came in, she had a big smile on her face. She was still very cautious not to like get in between you and I. And it might sound like a funny way to do it, but she knew to kind of go, okay, I think this is great. Rah, rah. Tell me how I can help.
She's the best. Yeah. That support, so awesome.
It's incredibly important. Because in that balance, everybody has a different relationship in a marriage. And some people might appreciate their spouse going, you're looking fat, you need to lose weight, or don't put that in your mouth. And then others might go, why are you picking on me? Or
Right.
why are you being mean? You know, or don't tell me what to do. We have a little joke between us. Don't be my boss. Right. Oh, anyway. So yeah. So you gave me this direction. And the great thing for me was it was what to do and when almost every hour of the day, which
Yeah.
to me was powerful. It's like going to a racetrack. I went to racing school, Skip Barber Racing School at Elkhart Lake and Laguna Seca. And they just every hour they tell you what to do and they walk you
There was
through.
a system.
They get you up to speed so that you're more versus there's a race car. Good luck. Don't hit the wall.
Right. Right. And it's like, what, how do you do? Hold on one second. Give me 1 second, Mark.
Yeah, sure. But like I said, I'm the kind of person that I need a system. It helps me to have some guidance and some direction of what to do. And then when you have someone in the house who's helpful, I didn't tell anybody I was doing this. And
that's right. We did. We kept it very quiet. It was
right.
like Jill knew and I was
here and
done. Yeah.
I didn't even tell anybody in my family.
I remember. That's right.
Yeah. And I think I told you the first one that noticed was my son because he often FaceTimes us. And I think about 3 weeks maybe had gone by and the phone pops up and I pull him up and he goes, Dad, what happened to you? And I go, what do you mean? He goes, you're doing something. You look different.
Yep.
And that's the point where you told me that when we're going through this journey, we don't recognize it ourselves. If anything, our brain shuts off and doesn't allow you to see, in the case of losing weight and getting healthy, doesn't even allow you to see it because it goes into a preservation mode. Like,
exactly.
What do you mean you're not feeding me a box of saltines every day anymore?
Right. Its sole purpose, your mind's sole purpose is to keep you the same and keep you safe. So it's going to do everything in its power to keep you there, right? Because that's its purpose. So we literally have to rewire that mindset as we are going through the physical transformation. And that's why those pictures were also so important.
Well, yeah, you told me take some pictures of yourself before, and then we did some a month after, and then we did some more. And it wasn't until probably 30, 40 days into this that I could pull up 2 pictures and go, oh my gosh.
Well, let's show everybody. Let's show everybody because I happen to have them here.
I'll bet you do. Yeah.
So let me share my screen and let's pull this up. Look at that.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a great example. The picture on my left with the red hat on coincidental. My show today on Cars Yeah is with David Smith going to the Ferrari factory and buying a Ferrari F1 car. I was at the Ferrari factory in 2011 and they gave me that hat because I was there as part of their Ferrari Clienti program, the F1 program. But that picture was taken with my sister. I think it was a year ago summer. I'd gone down to Southern California. We were eating. I think my mom was there too. We were having lunch out by the beach. And, these are the kind of things that when you look at yourself and you go, who is that guy? I don't want to look at that picture anymore. And then the picture you see on the other side was Christmas. My wonderful son and his wife, she brought some food, some treats from her native land in India, Mumbai, India, and her mom had made those for us. And that picture was taken, but you can see it in my face. And that's what Blake saw was that, that chin went away and so forth. Now, the amazing thing, we talked numbers I set a goal of losing around 30, 35 pounds. I think that was my initial goal, which I achieved. And the inches were the thing. You guys had me measure like all pieces of my body, all these inches.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. And I believe it was around 44 inches total went away over this time, which that was the telling tale. Because it was like, oh my gosh, because all those little numbers add up.
Right. And that inflammation, and it's the real story. It really tells the story of what's going on inside your body. Right. So we a lot of times people define themselves by that number that's on the scale, and it truly is a situation of what is it that your body is actually doing from a standpoint of inflammation, toxins in the body. What are you holding on to? And then we go in and we do the internal numbers, which also is super exciting. I'm going to lead into that because I remember when you went to the doctor and I'll just say, I'm going to go on record right now, we're not claiming that we cure, diagnose, treat, prevent any diseases or cure anything. But what we are here to tell people is to inspire them and give them hope that when you fuel your body the right way, you start treating it like the machine that it is. We start going in and we start treating it like our vehicles, right? Like our vehicles, giving it the love, the care,
Right.
driving it, moving it, flooding it with the right gas and giving it the right detail and all of that. We've got a system that does that. And that's what you did. When that happens, your body is it's gonna normalize. It's gonna come into balance. It's gonna perform. It's gonna do what it's designed to do, just like that special vehicle that we have. So what happened when you went to the doctor? Because I know that blew you away.
There's a couple of things I want to touch on here that you really hit on that are really important. When I started this with you, this is a plan. This is a certain things that you eat, that you do. And I told Jill, I said, okay, this is to start this whole thing for a first month. Here's what it costs. I wouldn't say it was expensive. I just say, well, that's a chunk of money. And she looked at me and she went, okay, if you had your car, any of your cars in the shop today, and they called and said, you need to spend X amount on your car today, you wouldn't even blink your eye at that. You go, we'll fix it.
Right.
She goes, why are you even questioning this when it comes to your body and your health? And it was a bit of a slap in the face, but it's so, so true. And since we're car people, we're talking cars here. Those of us who love cars, we'll spend whatever on our cars. I mean, first thing a car person does is they buy a car, they start going, what can I do to modify this thing?
Right.
Exhaust, suspension, wheels, tires, seats, harnesses, roll bars. I mean, stereo. I mean, we put wax. We buy Covercraft's one of my sponsors, longtime sponsor. We buy a cover to fit our car, custom made cover, floor mats.
By the way, Covercraft.
Oh, they're awesome. Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah, and so. That's a great analogy. You do that. And so I'm like, well, yeah, why wouldn't I do that for me? Because I'm kind of important. And Jill goes, yeah, you're kind of important. So yeah.
And to the car world, right? If you don't take care of your body, you don't take care of your health, how in the world are you going to enjoy your car, right? Mark, you know this. I've helped hundreds of people in the car arena. And there's been a few people that have come in that have wanted to buy certain cars from Doug. Okay.
Superperformance cars that have little seats.
Right. Cobras, right? They don't fit. We had a gentleman that actually got stuck in the showroom in the car. And Doug had to help get him out. It took him like 20 minutes to get him out of the vehicle. He jumped on the program, and here he is in his dream car now, able to enjoy it. Right? And he has a massive, gorgeous car collection, but this was something that he wanted to add to it. But you're not going to be able to enjoy those vehicles or your life. It's just, I don't know. Well, actually, I do know. Your biggest wealth is your health. And from that place, all great things come. Family relationships, your relationship with yourself, most importantly. And, everything will start to thrive. Your business, everything starts to elevate.
Yeah. So let's go to the doctor visit. And
let's go to the doctor visit. Thank you. I got off track.
Well, now that I know it's easy to get distracted, we start talking about Superperformance cars.
Right. I know. We start getting into the car stuff. Okay. Yes. Talk about the doctor.
I'll tell those of you joining us, I've been to Superperformance. I got to spend a day there. I got to drive a GT40. I've driven Superperformance Cobras. I was on a skid pad at SEMA with a crazy woman who did spins with me in the car.
Were you out with the Irish woman?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Her name will come to me, but she is a bad bleep driver and drifter. I'll tell you.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
She's amazing.
She lit me up. That's for sure. So let me go back. So, going to get a physical every year is for some people, especially if you don't feel healthy or if you're overweight is like, I got to go in because the first thing they do, they weigh you.
Yep.
And you don't even want to, look at that thing, or you do. And then you go, what the heck happened to me in the last year?
Right.
So I had a new doctor. I had delayed my physical last year because of COVID, because they weren't letting people go in for stuff like that. So I finally got in. My doctor had left practice, so I had to go to somebody new. And so I walk in and they do the weigh-in, and I just I have to tell you, this was one of the first time I remember since a long decades that I smiled when I stepped on that scale.
Oh,
Because at that point I had not gone through my whole program yet, but I was down a good 25 plus pounds. So I just kind of smiled, and the nurse says, "Now you weigh this," but I'm like, okay. So I go in and sit down, and this doctor comes in. I've never met. His name is Matt, real nice guy. And he goes, "Hey, Mark, nice to meet you. I'm Matt." And I go, "Hey, Doc Matt." "Nah, just call me Matt." And he said, "Okay, for your annual physical, first things first, what are you doing?" I said, "What do you mean? What am I doing?" And he said, "I'm looking at your records here. In the last 5-10 years, you've been this weight. And now all of a sudden you're way down." He said, "Everybody else is gaining weight during COVID." He goes, "What are you doing?" And so I told him, I said, you know what I said? I said, "I'm doing, this sounds terrible. I'm doing Marissa." No, I didn't mean that. I said that, and he laughed. He goes, "Who's Marissa, your wife?" And I go, "No, she's my coach." And so he said, "Okay, well, tell me." And I told him about what you did for me and what you're doing for me. And he said, "I want to write that down. What's her phone number? What's her name?" He said, "I have a lot of patients who could use some help." And he asked me about the whole program. Well, my physical went great, but here's the defining moment. I've taken for decades, my family has high cholesterol. So I've taken cholesterol medication to control it, and it's worked fine, but I've always worried about it. I don't like taking medicines or anything.
yeah.
Well, I had not been taking that medication because I had not been able to get my prescription refilled because my old doctor left and I didn't have a new one. So I hadn't taken it for 4.5 months.
Wow. Okay.
And so he said, "Let's do some blood labs." And so we did that afterwards. And then he sent me a message and he said, "You don't need to take that medication anymore because whatever you're doing is working and your levels are all fine. And the fact that you hadn't been taking it for 4.5 months tells me you don't need it." Now he said, "We'll check you again in 6 months because hereditary can do stuff to us," and it does. "And I'll find out when I go back in a few months to do a follow-up. I'm hoping that everything's great." So that was amazing. He's plus all my other blood levels. They did massive, everything's awesome. And
So great.
much better. I mean, all the numbers are better.
And the numbers don't lie.
No, you can't lie. You can fib and wear a shirt that makes you look thin or something,
Right.
or a girdle, or I don't know, whatever you wear, but you can't lie when you get your blood labs done.
It's so true. And the other part of it too is you can lose weight, but you could be losing weight unhealthfully, meaning going on a restrictive diet or a crash thing or taking something that's synthetic, that's not good for your body, that's going to end up doing more damage.
Right.
And then it's interesting because you may get the result on the scale that you're looking for, but you go to the doctor and the numbers are all off, things are out of whack, or you're not feeling good. I think the biggest tell of everything is, the biggest gauge is, how are you feeling? So let's bridge into that.
Okay.
We got all of the numbers, we got everything, physically looking good, the numbers are looking good on paper. How are you feeling through the process?
Well,
Guide me through that.
Yeah, I was feeling great. I thought, okay, this is gonna be some kind of restrictive diet. I'm not gonna eat what I want, all those kinds of things. I didn't worry too much about that, but I found that it made me feel so much better. I also started exercising every day as a regular. It was a simple, just walking. I walked Warden, my neighbor's dog next door. I walked him every day. And he doesn't like to walk in the winter and the rain. So I've been on the treadmill every day instead of walking Warden. But when the weather warms up, I'll get back to I call them my talks with Warden because I talk to him.
He's so great.
He's a good listener. Yeah. So he's great. I'm very appreciative of Bill and Becky for loaning. I'm his dog father. So they loan him to me when I take him for a walk. So I've been feeling great, and I was feeling great through the whole process. There's also these, what you call cleanses, which at first were like scary word, like, what does that mean? Like getting ready for a colonoscopy or something. It's like, and so
it's in the car world, it's like giving your car a detail, right? It's
or cleaning the carburetors, or putting a flush through your fuel injector system, or putting fuel additive in that cleans everything. Right.
Taking a shower from the inside out.
Yeah. And the first ones I did, they're 2-day, basically, these cleanses but again, you told me what to do every hour of those days. That is what helped make them work.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you now, when I do my cleanses, which I do them regularly, I look forward to them because I become almost hyper focused during them. I feel much better. So let's say, you know, I started this in late August, September. So what was coming? Thanksgiving and Christmas,
all the holidays,
the killer times. And this goes back to how this worked for me. I had Marissa. I could call, text her, hey, I have a question. We had check-ins. You told me this is what's going to happen. When the holidays were coming, I said, what do I do? You know? And you said, well, here's what you do. And you told me what to do. And I did it. And I told you this after Thanksgiving. This was the first Thanksgiving I ever remembered that, number one, I didn't eat till I felt sick because you know what? I didn't want to, and I didn't need to. There was nothing in my head. So when I made my plate, and Jill never said a word, she never gave me a look, I made a normal plate of food, not the typical Thanksgiving heaps of all the stuff. I ate it. And I didn't go back for seconds. I don't remember a time in my life I didn't go back for seconds for Thanksgiving. And the same for Christmas. And plus I had my family here. So my kids were here. My son-in-law, daughter-in-law, they were all here. They were all supporting me. And they helped me. And they'd ask me, they weren't like telling me what to do. They just helped me. But I just kind of went, wow. And yeah, I had a couple pieces of pie for a few days. I didn't want to, you know, as Jill always tells me, you can't stop living your life.
Exactly. And that's what I love the most, because when you find and you rope your hands around a true healthy lifestyle, you're living your life along the way. Because when you restrict yourself, you're just going to set yourself up for a failure. So total difference between living a healthy lifestyle and making healthy choices and indulging along the way, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there versus diet mentality. Yeah. And Jill is so right.
Well, here's another thing that happened, and I shared this with you. The first time, now we weren't eating out restaurants much because of COVID, but the restaurants had opened for a short time. And so we said, let's go down and support our local restaurant. There's a Mexican restaurant here, the family, we've known them since our kids were little. Several of the ladies that worked there cared for our kids when they were little. And so we said, let's go support them and go out and eat. And it's Mexican food, right? So when we go to Mexican food, what happens? We order margaritas, although I'm not really a drinker, but you know, or a beer, and we then bring that big thing of chips with salsa, and you gorge yourself with chips before they bring this giant platter of food with rice and beans and everything piled on it. And it's so good. It tastes so good. And then afterwards you go, I feel very good. I ate too. Why did I eat all those chips? So we sat down at the table and they bring the chips, and I looked at the chips and I looked at Jill. And she looked at me, she just smiled, and I pushed them across the table at her. And she said, you're not even going to have one or two? And I said, I don't really want one or two. I don't want to have that feeling I remembered.
Yeah. And
she just went, good for you. And I believe she actually was even nicer because she likes chips. Now she's like a little bird. She's never had any problems. So, but the waiter, she said, could you take these? We're not going to eat them. Get them off the table. Don't even put them in front. You know, don't put the candy in front of you. And then when I ordered, instead of ordering one of their big platters, I ordered a la carte, 2 items, no extra rice and beans. I didn't even finish that because I didn't want to feel that way. Yeah. So this training you've provided me, this mind readjustment, that I think has been one of the biggest wins out of this, because I feel now that, let's say, and I'm still, you know, consuming the supplements and the food and things that you provide with, not even food, but for the shakes and things like that, but the vitamins and the healthy additives and the greens and all of that. And even the snacking items, the little candies and the oat bars. I still do that when I need a snack, but I'm at a point now where I feel like I don't even feel like I need or want to eat that much. So you've readjusted, and it's not because I definitely don't want to go back. I don't want to be heavy again. I don't want to feel that way again, because the wins you start to feel over this period of time. Well, for instance, I told you this, I used to always wear an XL polo and t-shirt.
Yeah.
And then after about a month, I had this drawer full of leftover larges that every time I put them on, I went, I don't feel so good.
Right.
So I'm into the larges, and actually now I'm into the mediums. So what I did was I got rid of those clothes. The problem with the pants is they keep falling off. So, my next move, and I just purchased, my mom had given me Christmas gift certificate. I just purchased my first pair of pants that were 3 inches smaller than what I was wearing. And
Wow.
when I got them and I put them on, it's like they fit.
It's like such a great feeling. It's such a great feeling. It's
a silly thing, but it's a step, because I remember back, what was I wearing when I was married? What was that waist size when I was married? So, it's just wonderful, and it just makes you feel so good. And again, it's so easy, is what I will say to people. And I've shared this, as you know, with some people who've contacted you that you're helping now. And it's easy to get off track if you're not careful. But I always say, whenever you want to stop something that you know is good for you, stop and close your eyes and go, why did I start?
Yeah.
Think back.
It's anchoring into that why, like you started this whole interview with. It's anchoring into that why. Yeah. And it's almost like a daily decision. It's like a daily recommitment where you get in, I have my why front and center for all aspects of my life on my whiteboard. Right. My business, my health, and I anchor in that every day, because it keeps me moving forward in what I'm doing. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And when people start to notice is really wonderful, because when they say something to you, and to me, it's interesting, guys I know don't really say much. I don't think guys really care, but it's the females.
They're watching you though. I promise you.
They probably are, but it's the females going, wow, you look really good. Or what are you doing? Or, nobody has said, are you okay? Thinking there's something wrong.
Because you're healthy.
because I'm healthy and I feel more energetic and more alive. But mainly it's just, you've made me feel better about myself. And that's invaluable.
I'm going to ask you, how do you see that? How do you see that feeling of feeling better about yourself, and just all of this trickling into other aspects of your life, your business, your family life? It's showing up for you, right?
Right. Because what I do, I work long hours. I mean, I'm so busy doing all these shows. I'm about to launch another new podcast, which everyone will hear about very soon here. Just signed an agreement last week. And that's
congratulations.
That's really exciting. And so, you have more energy, and I've got to have energy, because I start at 6 a.m. and I'm here talking to people and doing things all day long.
All day long. You have to be on.
And you have to be ecstatic when that person calls, because most of my guests are a little nervous. Yeah. They're a little nervous about being interviewed. And so you have to be really vivacious like you. I'm not as great as you are at it, and I'm working on it.
I am learning from you, my friend.
Well, that's nice.
All hail to you. You are incredible.
Well, you want to make them feel engaged and excited. And, part of it is, even though I do a podcast, now we're on a video now, so it's like, smile, remember, smile. You've got this wonderful smile. But I do that with my podcast. I have a little thing right on my computer that says smile, because when you smile, people hear it. And I'm convinced, and I read somewhere once, that when you smile, things happen in your brain. These things trigger. Yes. And even if you're not feeling good, I had somebody tell me once, put a pencil in your mouth and it forces you to smile. And just walk around like that. You feel like an idiot, but when you take it out, you're like, you feel it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you can't help but be in that energy,
right? Right.
It's amazing how it all works. I love it. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your plans for the future. It sounds like you've got something super exciting on the horizon. So congratulations.
Thanks.
What do we need to know about you right now, and the things that are going on for your world, your podcast?
Right. Well, a couple things. We're coming up on the month of March. Yes. March is Women's History Month, and it's also March 8th is International Women's Day.
Yes.
I did this 2 years ago, and I'm doing it again this March. I'm going to interview 23 women back to back during the entire month of March, dedicating March women to Cars and women in the automotive sector, because it's a really growing, powerful sector, powerful people like you. I've already interviewed close to 300 women already on Cars. So I'm doing that for the month of March. The other thing is this new podcast, which I'll make a formal announcement. But when I say who it's with, everyone's going to go, "Holy cow, this is cool!" So it's a heavy, big hitter in the car industry. Everyone knows who it is. Going to help them move along. It'll be a 1-day-a-week show, so I'll be doing 6 now. For me, the thing is, you can find Cars Yeah on my website, but all of us have these little devices in our hands that have a podcast app
Yes.
into them.
Tell us how to find you.
It's
Walk
easy.
us through it.
You just, the podcast app on most things is a little purple. You can kind of see it there, maybe.
Yep. Purple podcast.
Yeah, you just click on that. You type in Cars Yeah or Mark Greene with an E on the end, Cars Yeah. And then you'll see Cars Yeah, and you just hit subscribe. And the shows come to your mobile device, an iPad, or what's the Microsoft one? I don't know. I'm an Apple guy, but or your phone. There you go. Yep, that's it. And that show will come to you 5 days a week. And you just click download, and you can listen anywhere you go. You can listen on my website if you like that. You can listen on YouTube. Cars Yeah is virtually on every mobile podcast app. I found 3 more last night that Cars Yeah is on. I didn't even know existed. So it's all over the place. I also want to let the folks joining us today know that you can go to my website and click on the free book button.
Oh, yes. Let's tell them about the books.
Yeah,
this is one of my favorite parts of what you do.
Well, it makes you a subscriber, so you get my weekly blog and my weekly email recap of all my guests. But I'll send you my free ebook. I created an ebook called Filler Up, which is another positive concept. I always say when you wake up in the morning, your tank is either half full or half empty. You get to decide what it is, right? So another play on words. So when you subscribe, you get my free ebook, which I'll email you, but you also get your name in the hat. I just gave away one of my many guests who've been on the show and author a great book last week. So that way you can kind of keep up with me and follow along with me. The other thing is, if any of those folks out there listening who works in the automotive sector, contact me. I'm easy to find, Mark at Cars Yeah, and I'll put you on my show. And you can share your story, your inspiration with others, because that's what Cars Yeah is all about, inspiring automotive enthusiasts. So, and I'm working on, I just had a meeting yesterday with a distributor about bringing the TV show back. So that I hope will happen. That's a whole nother funky, weird world. You guys have been on it. So we'll see if that comes to fruition again. We did 13 episodes in 2019. So that was a new thing for me, but that talk about stepping out of your comfort zone. Yeah. And I wish I'd had you. Well, I did have you before then, but I wish I'd followed your coaching, because I would have felt so much better about myself and the way I looked on those TV shows. But now when that comes back, I will feel good about myself.
You certainly will. And I am so excited. It's all on its way to you. It's just, you are one amazing, incredible individual. You truly are, Mark. And, everyone is always waiting for somebody that they know to go first, right?
Yeah.
They're waiting for somebody that they know to go first. And that is the person that you are showing up for so many, not only in the automotive world, but now in the health and wellness arena. People are watching you, they're seeing what has happened.
Thanks.
Thank you for coming on today and for sharing your heart, your journey, your transparency. You are a true gentleman. And I just love you with all my heart. Your family, everybody in your world is amazing. And it's no surprise. I mean, great people surround themselves with great people. So
here's
you're
the
amazing.
thing. Here's the thing with that. We are the culmination of the top 5 people we spend most of our time with.
Absolutely.
If you spend your time with people that are better at you at all the things they do, you will achieve to that level. If you hang around with people that aren't so good, it's like Mom used to say, be careful who you pick your friends are, and be careful who you hang out with. Don't hang out with the bad kid, hang out with the good kids.
That's right.
And you will strive to be like that. So that's what all of you folks did today. You hung out with the great Marissa Campbell, because she will help you strive to be. And I really, again, I would just want to say, if you're struggling with health, weight issues, just give this a try. It works. It works for me. And I just wish I'd done it before. And like most good things in your life, start today. Make a commitment today, because the longer you wait, the worse you feel. And it just works. It just works. Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
Wonderful.
You're the absolute best. I love you so much.
Thanks.
So thank you again for everything. I'm so excited to tune in for everything that you have going on in March. It's going to be incredible, incredible.
Thanks.
And as Mark said, I am here. So please feel free to reach out. Anybody that's looking to have a conversation. All of my coaching is free, by the way.
Yeah.
Just a side note. So we
Amazing.
get you, right? It's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
invest in yourself. So
Yes.
there's no risk to have a conversation. So let's get on the phone. Let's see what you got going on. And please make sure that you connect with Mark and follow him and all of his exciting stuff.
Thank you.
And again, Mark, thank you so much for
Thank
being you. You're amazing.
This has been great. And
It's
hi,
been
Doug.
so much fun.
I know
Bye-bye,
Doug's
guys.
working in the background. See ya.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh,
Bye-bye.
and make sure that you come back and join us next Thursday. We're going to be doing this once a week, Mark. Like, you inspired me to do this, to show up. So, like, here we go. You are the kickoff to this incredible new thing. So here we go.
Can't wait to see you talk to you next.
We'll see you next Thursday.
Thanks, Marissa.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. It's great.